You're listening to Let's Talk Sports podcast with me, Lucia. NFL, NBA news, and more coming to you right now. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk Sports podcast with me, Lucia. Now, it is a little bit late this week. I understand there were some technical difficulties in my house. Like, my entire Wi-Fi went down for 2 days. So, yeah, that happened. And then the rest of the week, it was just catching up on other work to try and get things done that I'd missed for the 2 days that I didn't have Wi-Fi. You'd think for the country that created Wi-Fi, Australia, they would have good Wi-Fi, but they don't. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, let's get into this. So, this week's episode, I'm going to run down a few things and then preview a new segment that I'm going to start doing next week. So, the New York Football Giants. Look, I saw really good and positive things come out of the game on Thursday. Daniel Jones played his best game he's ever played. He did not drop the ball. He did overthrow, but that happens to every quarterback. Every quarterback overthrows their receiver here and there. But Daniel Jones is actually not the problem. And this is the first time that I've seen it. I think that it's just undisciplined. And I think that this next game has to be against the Falcons. If they don't win against the Falcons, who have had 57 points put on them. Actually, no. They've had almost 80 points put up on them in the first 2 weeks. If we don't put up a 40 spot against the Falcons, there is something wrong with our organization. And everybody deserves to get fired from the top to the bottom. Everyone deserves to get fired. So, yeah, it really, really, really depends on, this game is the make or break season. It's a make or break game because then they're going to New Orleans and facing the Saints in their building that they had just had a hurricane, and it'll be their first home game of the season. So, yeah, the Giants have to win this weekend. This Sunday, this has to happen. It just has to happen. I could go on for more and more and more about the Giants, but I feel like I'm saying the same things over and over again with them, and I just want them to be good. Just competency. We had a competent season last season. Can we just have a competent season with more wins? Please, dear Lord, please. Anyway, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still dominating. Which were we actually going to think any differently? Yeah, Tom Brady still being Tom Brady. It's amazing. It's amazing to see how Tom Brady is still good at this age. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him because will be his first time playing in LA. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing if he does anything differently in terms of trying to figure out the field for the Super Bowl, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look like they're going to the Super Bowl, and I don't think that is a stretch. So yeah, looking forward to seeing that. So the Bucs is all still dominating, which, as usual, as you would expect. It's confirmed. It is officially confirmed that the Jets are still the Jets. 4 interceptions for Zach Wilson. 4. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. 4 interceptions for Zach Wilson. And the Jets just have the worst luck in the world. Especially considering how good Sam Darnold is playing on the Carolina Panthers, where he is 3-0 at the moment. So, it's like a tale of two cities. Seriously. The Jets just find their way. They find some way to lose. And they get blown out. And look, were we expecting anything differently from the Pats? I think that Zach Wilson was again seeing ghosts, which is something that will haunt the Jet fans for the rest of their lives. But yeah, it's actually confirmed now that Sam Darnold was not the problem with the Jets. The Jets were the problem with the Jets, and that's sad for Jet fans. They have literally, they've got so much passion for their team. I listen to New York Sports Talk Radio, and the two guys I listen to are Carton and Roberts, and they're huge Jet fans, and I know in their heart of hearts they want to see them win, but they just have no hope. It's amazing. It's amazing how they had no hope. And Sam Darnold, 348 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He is playing so well. And I think that is something that also is pissing off Jet fans. Is they could have had Matt Rule. They could have had Christian McCaffrey. They could have had all of that. But they passed up on them. They passed up on these life-changing, life-altering players for what? For nothing. So yeah, the Jets will always be the Jets. And now sticking in the AFC, I am going to talk about the Ravens. Are they actually a threat? They beat the Kansas City Chiefs in a thrilling Monday Night Football game that I watched beginning to end, and I was intrigued the entire time. Look, I love Lamar Jackson. He is electric. But he has problems holding on to the football too. The same problems that Daniel Jones has, Lamar Jackson has too. But he just does it at such a higher rate that it's not quite pointed out as much. But he has the same problems. But are the Ravens an actual threat in the AFC? Could I potentially put them up there with the Browns and the Chiefs to being in the Super Bowl? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. And now moving on to another team in the AFC that will be the first in my new segment that I'm going to do, that I'm going to actually start next week, and I'm going to have a whole intro to it, so that's what I'll be working on for the next couple of days. Are the Raiders contenders or pretenders? So the new segment will be contenders or pretenders, where I will pick out a couple of teams and I'll be like, are they contenders or are they pretenders? So the Raiders are currently 2-0 against two pretty good teams. Are they contenders or pretenders? I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether the Raiders will do Raider things. Now, this is something that I think that a lot of people don't necessarily know, is that the Raiders seem to have really good starts of the year, then they fall off, and then they bounce back, making everyone think that they're Super Bowl contenders. But Raiders will always do Raider things. So yeah, I'm going to go in pretenders. I seriously don't think that I think they'll make the playoffs, I just don't know where. So now, we have an injury update. Tua is injured and will not start the game against... Who are they playing? Against the Raiders. So yeah, could this be the point where they pull the plug on Deshaun Watson? Or are they waiting for all the legal stuff to be sorted out? Now, personally, for me, I would always want the legal situation to be sorted out first. Before I do anything else, I'd want that to be started off first. To be settled first before they do anything. So yeah. I am so looking forward to seeing how this affects the Dolphins against the Raiders. But I would keep an eye on Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins, because I think that it almost happened. They just didn't pull the trigger yet. I think that it's going to happen very, very soon. I think it's going to happen very soon. Justin Fields has been named the starter as QB1 in the Chicago Bears, with Andy Dalton injured. Now, is this QB1 for the rest of his life, or just until Andy Dalton gets better? I think that this is going to be the start. This is going to be the start of Justin Fields' career in Chicago, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes, what they do, how they play the game around him compared to how they played the game around Andy Dalton, because they've got some bright spots. The Chicago Bears have some bright spots, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they play with Justin Fields as QB1. So yeah, that's a game to look out for. As I told you, new segment starting next week, Contenders or Pretenders. I'll create a whole little thing around it. Look forward to that. That's going to be great. So, NFL Week 3. Let's run through the games and my predictions. So, we already had on Thursday Night Football the Panthers versus the Texans, and the Panthers won in pretty dominating fashion, which was fantastic. The next game is the Chiefs versus the Chargers. Look, the Chiefs lost last week, but I think that the Chargers are coming up, so I'm going to pick the Chargers. We've got the Jags versus the Cardinals. I think I'm going to go with the Cardinals. And next week, depending on what the Jags do, I'll be discussing what the Jaguars need to do. We've got the Browns versus the Bears. I'm going to go with the Browns, even though it's Justin Fields' first game as quarterback. Starting at quarterback, that Browns defense is awesome, and I believe in Baker Mayfield. I know that a lot of people don't, and people sort of are iffy against Baker, but I believe in Baker Mayfield. I've got the Bills versus the Washington Football Team. I'm going with the Bills, as they completely destroyed the Dolphins last week, which is good because I love the Bills Mafia. I think that's so cute. I've got the Titans versus the Colts. I'm going with the Colts for them to get their first win of the year. I've got the Pats versus the Saints. I'm going with the Saints. We've got the Giants versus the Falcons. I'm going with the Giants. I know homerism, but that's just me. We've got the Steelers versus the Bengals. I'm actually going to this is going to be like my out-of-the-box pick. I'm going to go with the Bengals. I believe that they're a team that is building, and I don't trust the Steelers as much as other people do. I know that that's sort of strange to hear, but I don't trust them. So yeah, we've got the Lions versus the Ravens. I'm going with the Ravens. We've got the Broncos versus the Jets. I am going with the Broncos, because why the hell would you pick the Jets? I've got the Raiders versus Dolphins. I'm going with the Raiders. Just flipping my page. We've got the Rams versus the Bucks. I'm going with the Bucks. We've got the Vikings versus Seahawks. I'm going with the Seahawks. We've got the Niners versus the Packers. I'm going with the Niners. We've got the Cowboys versus the Eagles. Now, I want them to fight and to beat each other up until the end of time, but I am actually going to go with the Cowboys on this one, which hurts every little being in my soul to do that, because I don't want them to do that, because I don't want them to win. So that is all for this week's episode of Let's Talk Sports podcast with me, Lucia. So I'll catch you all later on this week. Thank you. Bye.